My brother Adrian smirked across the formal Easter dinner table, swirling his wine with insufferable arrogance. "Let's be realistic, Mom," he bragged loudly, making sure the entire family heard him. "Not everyone can handle a real career in tech. It takes a certain level of elite vision to build an enterprise, while some people are just built for comfortable, low-stress hobby jobs." He shot a condescending glance directly at me, clearly mocking my quiet tech consultancy firm. The table went uncomfortably quiet, but before my mother could smooth things over, my quiet 90-year-old Grandma Clara set her teacup down with a sharp clink. She turned her sharp gray eyes away from Adrian, looked directly at me and asked, "Oh, is that why Elena's company just bought yours out on Friday?" You could hear a pin drop. Adrian's smirk shattered. His face turned completely pale, and his hands started shaking as he whispered, "This can't be real." "My name is Elena. I'm 27 years old, and for as long as I can remember, my older brother Adrian has been the undisputed golden child of our family." At 29, Adrian possessed a loud, unyielding confidence that completely filled every room he walked into. To our parents, he was an absolute tech prodigy, the brilliant founder of a venture-backed startup called Vertex Horizon, who wore tailored suits, drove a sleek luxury car, and never missed an opportunity to talk about his impending millions. Growing up in Seattle, the tech capital of the Pacific Northwest, his loud success was exactly what our parents loved to brag about to the neighbors. Then, there was me. Because I preferred to keep my head down and run a quiet, low-profile boutique tech acquisition and infrastructure firm from a modest rented office downtown, my family treated me like the ultimate underachiever. At family gatherings, my subtle updates were met with polite nods before the conversation inevitably shifted back to Adrian's grand corporate vision. That brings us to this past Sunday. The sweet scent of glazed Easter ham and roasted vegetables filled my parents' formal dining room, a beautiful space where the fine china had been laid out with theatrical precision. We were supposed to be celebrating the holiday, but Adrian was using the occasion as a stage, loudly detailing his company's supposed exponential growth phase. I sat quietly across from him, merely listening, completely aware of the heavy storm that was about to hit him. "Oh, is that why Elena's company just bought yours out on Friday?" Grandma Clara's voice cut through the room like a razor blade. The heavy silver fork slipped right out of Adrian's hand, clattering loudly against his porcelain plate. His smug grin completely vanished, replaced by an expression of sheer, unadulterated terror. The entire dining room plunged into a suffocating silence as everyone stared at my 90-year-old grandmother, then slowly turned their eyes toward me. Before I tell you how my quiet grandma found out about a top-secret multi-million-dollar corporate tech merger before my arrogant brother did, make sure to follow my story until the end and comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far my story has reached. Adrian's fingers were visibly trembling as he fumbled with his phone, frantically trying to log into his encrypted corporate email network. His breathing grew shallow, his eyes darting across the screen as he realized the brutal reality. His board of directors had bypassed him entirely. They had signed the binding ownership papers behind his back, stripping him of his absolute authority while he was busy bragging to our parents. To understand how Adrian ended up completely frozen at the Easter dinner table, you have to look at the past year. To our parents and the rest of the world, Vertex Horizon was a roaring success destined for a massive public buyout. Adrian made sure everyone believed the hype, constantly flashing his corporate credit card and lecturing the family on what it took to survive in the brutal tech landscape. But while he was busy playing the part of a high-flying tech mogul, my boutique acquisition firm, Omnitech Holdings, had spent the last 6 months quietly auditing tech startups across the Pacific Northwest. What we uncovered beneath Vertex Horizon's polished marketing presentation was an absolute nightmare. The company was bleeding venture capital cash at an unsustainable rate, deeply mismanaging its core user data, and desperately looking for an anonymous corporate savior to keep them from going under by the end of the quarter. Adrian, of course, had absolutely no clue what was happening behind the scenes. At every single family holiday over the past year, he took immense pleasure in belittling my career choice. He would loudly laugh at my little consulting business, telling our parents that it was cute I had a safe, low-stress hobby job to pay my rent, while he was out there changing the world. I always just smiled and stayed quiet, never correcting him, and never mentioning that Omnitech Holdings wasn't a tiny local consultancy at all. It was actually a highly aggressive parent corporation backed by massive institutional investors, and we had spent months quietly trapping his failing company in our crosshairs. The actual boardroom execution of the buyout was a masterclass in silent strategy. 2 months ago, Adrian's primary venture capital investors realized that Vertex Horizon was on the verge of a total financial collapse due to his reckless overspending. Panicking and desperate to recover their money, the lead investors secretly approached Omnitech Holdings, asking us to execute an emergency corporate buyout. I agreed, but I enforced one absolute non-negotiable condition. Adrian was to be kept completely in the dark until the deal was entirely finalized. I purposefully structured the legal acquisition contract so that the executive board and the CEO would not receive the official digital notification until the final multi-million-dollar wire transfer cleared on Good Friday at exactly 5 p.m. I knew exactly what I was doing. I wanted to ensure the paperwork went through right before the long Easter holiday weekend, giving him absolutely no time to scramble or launch a legal counterattack before dinner. That brings us to how my 90-year-old grandmother found out about the top-secret merger. Grandma Clara isn't just a sweet, quiet lady who knits on the weekends. She was actually a highly successful commercial real estate investor in her younger days. When I first started Omnitech Holdings 5 years ago, everyone in the family laughed at my business plan, except for her. She believed in my vision and secretly gave me my very first seed loan to get the company off the ground. Because she still owns a small, protected percentage of my parent corporation, I am legally obligated to send her the official closing corporate disclosure documents whenever we finalize a major corporate acquisition. I had emailed her the completed paperwork on Thursday night, knowing she would quietly read every single word before sitting down for Easter dinner. The tense silence in the dining room stretched until the shrill chime of Adrian's phone shattered the quiet. His eyes went wide as the official, encrypted notification from his board of directors finally loaded on his screen. The detailed corporate email confirmed the absolute worst. Vertex Horizon had been completely acquired by Omnitech Holdings, and he had been stripped of his title and demoted from his executive position effective immediately. Adrian's face twisted in an ugly mix of rage and confusion as he slammed his phone onto the table, rattling the fine china. "This is impossible," he screamed, his voice cracking as he looked at our stunned parents. "Some predatory shell company called Omni just hijacked my life's work. I don't care what the board signed. I am going to launch a massive legal war and completely crush whoever thinks they can just buy me out." I calmly set my linen napkin down, reached into my purse and slid my official embossed business card across the mahogany table, letting it land right next to his plate. The room went completely breathless as Adrian stared down at the card. My parents leaned forward in absolute shock, watching the exact second my brother's eyes hit the text, reading my name clearly listed as founder, CEO, and managing partner of Omnitech Holdings. Adrian stared at my business card, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "This is a joke," he stammered, looking desperately at our parents for support. "Elena, what kind of sick game are you playing? You couldn't possibly own Omni. You run a tiny, useless consulting business." "I don't run a small business, Adrian. I never did." I replied, my voice calm, steady, and entirely devoid of anger. You were just too busy listening to your own voice at every family dinner to ever bother asking me what I actually do for a living. Adrian's face flushed a deep, angry red as he realized the absolute truth. He threw a massive tantrum, standing up from his chair and accusing me of being a jealous, vindictive sister who had spent months plotting to ruin his life and steal his hard work. I let him vent his rage, completely unbothered by his dramatic outburst. When he finally ran out of breath, I looked him dead in the eye. My company didn't ruin your life, Adrian. Your own reckless overspending and terrible financial management did. If Omni hadn't stepped in on Friday afternoon to completely buy out your massive debts, your entire company would have filed for total bankruptcy by tomorrow morning. Your hobby job sister just saved all 50 of your employees from being laid off. My parents sat in absolute paralyzed shock, the reality shifting around them as they suddenly realized who the actual tech powerhouse of the family was. Grandma Clara quietly raised her glass of tea toward me, a brilliant, knowing smile on her face, while Adrian silently grabbed his coat and left the house in total disgrace. 3 months after that explosive Easter dinner, the dust has finally settled. My firm completely restructured Vertex Horizon, cutting the massive corporate waste, fixing their security flaws, and successfully saving the jobs of every single employee Adrian had put at risk. Adrian himself was forced to face reality. He is currently working as a mid-level project manager at a completely different firm, finally learning the humility and basic business skills he drastically lacked. Meanwhile, Omnitech Holdings has expanded significantly, and I recently moved our entire team into a beautiful, sunlit high-rise office overlooking downtown Seattle. What would you have done if your own sibling constantly looked down on your career and tried to humiliate you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm leaving 2 more incredible stories on the screen right now that will completely surprise you. Thank you for watching.